Yes, Dr. Jimmy.
Good morning to all. Hello to everyone joining today's webinar. I'm Junaid Tatre, and as a co-convener of this event, I'm delighted to welcome such a diverse and engaged audience joined with us today. Your participation greatly enriches our discussions and underscores our shared commitment to advancing in our respective fields. I look forward for the productive conversation and collective learning as we embark on this educational journey together. SPSR SPSR is a distinguished for its engaging webinars, further enhancing its leading platform for continuous professional development in the pharmaceutical sector. I'm confident that today's session will uphold its tradition of excellence, providing valuable insights from a respected speaker. So let's seize this chance to gain new knowledge, new perspectives, and participate actively and progress in our respective fields. Thank you once again for joining us today. So we are gathered today to commemorate on 105th SPSR International Webinar, which is titled on One Health and Maternal Child Health, a Shared Responsibility, a distinguished event hosted by the Society of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research in association with Malaysian Society for Molecular Biology and Biotechnology under the esteemed guidance of Dr. Shashi Alok Sir, National President, SPSR. The Society continues to play a pivotal role in fostering innovation and advancement in the pharmaceutical sector. The SPSR is devoted to advancing the pharmaceutical field through a variety of strategies. Our mission is to organize conferences, support pharmacy related initiatives, and endorse programs tackling public health issues in India and all over the world, focusing particularly on disease prevention. So we make it a priority to prioritize, recognize, and honor pharmacists whose notable contributions drive progress in our field. So at the heart of our mission is the commitment to spreading pharmaceutical knowledge, ensuring a steady and robust exchange of information about pharmaceutical practices and impact of pharmacy profession. So it's our great privilege to introduce Dr. Eugenie Tan Sin Singh, ma'am, Associate Professor, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, UCSI University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as a distinguished speaker. Dr. Eugene expertise greatly contributes to our event, providing substantial knowledge and insights. Her participation is certain to enrich our discussions and expand explorations of One Health and Maternal Child, a shared responsibility. We are grateful for her engagement and anticipate an enlightening session. It's our privilege to introduce Mrs. Monika Sabharwal, ma'am, as the convener for today's webinar, who also serves as the founder and national secretary of SPSR and CEO SPSR Periodicals Private Limited. A significant involvement and leadership in the pharmaceutical sector communities are indicative of a commitment to the field. We are grateful to have her guidance in today's session also. So I'm pleased to invite Mrs. Monika Sabharwal, ma'am, to warmly welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Eugene, ma'am. Over to you, Monika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Julian Tantre. A very good day to our distinguished speaker, respected academicians, researchers, professionals, and dear participants joining us from across the globe. I am Monika Sabharwal, and on behalf of the Society of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, SPSR, it is my great pleasure to welcome and heartfelt welcome to all of you to the 105th SPSR International Webinar. Today's webinar focuses on very important and very timely topic, One Health and Maternal Child Health, a shared responsibility. The concept of One Health emphasizes the interconnectedness of human health and animal health and environmental health. Maternal and child health outcomes are deeply influenced by various factors such as nutrition, infectious disease, environmental exposures, and public health systems. By integrating the One Health approach, we can strengthen preventive strategies, improve healthcare systems, and ensure the healthier futures for mothers and children worldwide. Today's discussion will highlight how collaborative effort among the healthcare professionals, researchers, policymakers, and community can address these complex health challenges more effectively. We are truly honored to have with us today our esteemed speaker, Dr. Tan, Associate Professor, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, UCSI University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Dr. Tan is a distinguished academician and researcher whose work contributes significantly advancing the public health and maternal child health care. We are privileged to learn from her insights and expertise during today's session. Today's webinar also holds a very special significance as it coincides with International Women's Day, celebrated globally on 8th March. This day is dedicated to recognize the remarkable achievements of women and acknowledging their contribution across fields, including healthcare, research, education, and leadership. At SPSR, we are proudly celebrate the dedication, relations, and excellence of women professionals who contribute to inspire and shape the future of science and the healthcare worldwide. It is particularly meaningful that our esteemed speaker today is also a distinguished woman leader in academia and research. Through this session, we not only celebrate the knowledge and collaboration, but also honor the spirit of women who are making impactful contributions to the society and the global health worldwide. SPSR remains committed to create platforms for knowledge exchange, professional development, and global collaboration in pharmaceutical and healthcare sciences. We are grateful for enthusiastic participation and the continued support from our global audience always. Before we commence, I would like to warmly welcome our National President, Dr. Shashi Yalo, whose visionary leadership has been very crucial in the impressive transformation of the SPSR. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Junaid Tantre, the co-convener of this webinar, and would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the all SPSR members whose dedication, hard work, and commitment continue to thrive SPSR mission of advancing pharmaceutical education, research, and global collaboration. Stay updated by subscribing to SPSR YouTube channel and enabling the notification bell icon for instant alerts. Follow our journey in advancing the pharmaceutical sciences that will benefit the society overall. Once again, I welcome you all to this very enriching session and extend warm welcome to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Tan. I am very confident that today's webinar will be intellectually stimulating and highly beneficial for everyone present today. Thank you, and let's begin this international webinar. Over to you, Mr. Tantre.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
and
Ju- I will just have an intro, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt.
no worries.
Uh, I really I really appreciate ma'am for granting me opportunity. I'll go through guest profile, ma'am. The stage is all yours then. I will have a short guest profile of our today's speaker. Dr. Eugenie is a distinguished academic leader, environmental health scientist, currently serving as Head of Research and Postgraduate University, Malaysia. She obtained her PhD in Environmental Quality and Conservations from University UPM, Malaysia, and has been recognized for her academic excellence as a Kwok Foundation Scholar and recipient of Rikita Inouye Award. Dr. Tan also holds a postgraduate diploma in tertiary teaching and certification from the American Academy of Environmental Medicine. She's a licensed professional technologist with the Malaysia Board of Technologists and a member of Academy of Science Malaysia, demonstrating her commitment to scientific innovation and academic excellence. Her research focuses on important environmental and public health issues, particularly the health impacts of microplastics, endocrine disrupting compounds, and environmental toxins, as well as their role in healthy aging and quality of life. Beyond her academic and research work, Dr. Tan actively contributes to the scientific community as a scientific reviewer, institutional ethics committee member, and internal auditor. She's also engaged in community outreach activities, delivering public health talks, and supporting refugee communities through health awareness initiatives. Through her dedication to research, education, and community engagement, Dr. Tan continues to make significant contribution in the field scientific research and higher education. It's with a great satisfaction and pride that we declare that we have exceeded 1,700 registrations for this webinar. Registrations received from India, Albania, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Kenya, Kuwait, Malaysia, Nepal, Nigeria, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Syria, and USA, Vietnam, and Yemen. We are deeply moved by the substantial and varied response that we have garnered. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to each one of the participants who has taken a moment to participate in this significant event. Thank you for all joining us today. So let's make this webinar more insightful. We have our esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Tan, with us. Welcome, ma'am. The stage is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Without further ado, let me very quickly share my slides. All right, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right, is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. Thank you to the organizers of the 105th SPSR International Webinar and the Malaysian Society for Molecular Biology and Biotechnology for inviting me to share this afternoon. So this is Eugenie, and I'm from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, UCSI University, Malaysia. Today, I will be discussing the relationship between One Health and maternal-child health, and why understanding this connection is increasingly important in modern public health research. Now, traditionally, maternal and child health, it's examined mainly from the perspective of a clinical perspective. However, many of the determinants that influence pregnancy outcome and early childhood development actually originate from outside the clinical settings. Just to name a few: environmental pollution, infectious disease, food safety, and ecosystem changes. All of this influences maternal and child health. So to begin the talk this morning, kindly allow me to introduce the concept of One Health. One Health actually began to have its prominence in the year 2023 to the year 2024, particularly during the global response to emerging infectious disease such as SARS and avian influenza. So this outbreak highlighted the important reality that human health cannot be separated from the health of animals and the health of the environment. One Health thereby refers to an integrated and collaborative approach that recognizes the connection between human health, animal health, and environment health. Then let's take a look at maternal and child health. In maternal and child health, we look at a very critical developmental window because many biological systems are formed during this time. Now, during the early life of a child, we have the immune system, the nervous system, and the metabolic pathways developing during this critical window. So the health of the mother during the pregnancy and the postpartum period directly influences the fetal development and early childhood outcome. For example, pregnant women are more vulnerable to infection, environmental toxins, and metabolic changes because pregnancy involves significant physiological changes as well as hormonal changes. Infants are also particularly vulnerable because their immune and nervous system are still developing. Another important aspect that we should highlight when we look at maternal and child health is the intergenerational impact of environmental exposure, where the toxins from the mother can be passed to the child in the womb during pregnancy. And taking an example would be the Minamata disease in Japan in the year 1956, where mercury contamination in seafood which is consumed by the pregnant mothers, cause severe neurological damage in infants born to exposed mothers. Then you may ask me, what are the other environmental risks for impacting the maternal and child health? One of the common ones and one of the most important factor is air pollution. Air pollution has been associated with increased risk of preterm birth, low birth weight, and impaired lung development. Another important aspect is endocrine disrupting chemicals. I'm not sure how well versed are you with the term EDC. Now, EDC is something that I have spoke about very passionately over the past 10 years. Now, EDC are essentially plastics, pesticides, or industrial chemicals that we can find every day around us. And these substances interfere with hormonal regulation in our body, and it can also disrupt fetal development. To add on, we have contaminated food and water, which represent another major exposure pathway. So this exposure can lead to maternal infection, intrauterine growth restriction, malnutrition, and GI diseases as well. Finally, I think one of the booming issues that everyone talks about in the framework of One Health is actually climate change. Now, climate change, what we can see rising temperature around us causes heat stress during pregnancy, while climate shift from hot and cold weather can increase the spread of vector-borne diseases and disrupt food and water system as well. Together, environmental factors demonstrate how maternal and child health outcomes are strongly influenced by environmental conditions. Let's just zoom in at this moment to just look at air pollution. Now, taking an example, one of the very prominent pollutant in the air pollution that is most widely talked about is the particulate matter 2.5, which is commonly found in smoke and haze in many of the weather of the countries that we share this morning. So particulate matter, PM 2.5, can penetrate deeply into our lungs and enter into the maternal fetal bloodstream. Now, previous studies have shown that exposure to PM 2.5 during the pregnancy can lead to a reduced weight of 37.1 grams in preterm babies, and in full-term babies, it can lead to a reduction of 8.23 grams among the full-term babies. So this is very alarming to see because the odds ratio for this is high. To add, we also see an increase in stillbirth with the odds ratio of about 1.15 across the entire pregnancy period, which is actually very alarming, and it's something that we should look into. For preeclampsia risk, which is hypertension during pregnancy, we see a 10 microgram per cube meter increase in PM 2.5 would lead to a 32% increase in the risk of preeclampsia. I think if we have any gynecologists in our midst, we will be able to tell that in the recent trend, there are more and more pregnancy with GI risk and with preeclampsia risk as well. And then the number of preterm birth are also increasing in the past decade. Next, I would like to bring you to take a look at microplastics or plastics, as well as additives that we can see in plastics and how does it affect maternal and child health. Bisphenol A, I think it's something that's very common to all of us, where some countries have moved forward to actually ban BPA in maybe milk bottles, plastic bottles, breastfeeding containers, and etc. So BPA has been associated with 5.9 point of increase in externalizing behavior in children. So if you have a 10-fold increase in maternal urine, we would expect a 5.9 point of increase in externalizing behavior scores, which is further explained by behaviors such as disruptive behaviors, aggressive actions that can negatively affect the children's environment. To add, BPA has also been linked to the reduced white matter in the school children. So we actually postulate that they could be a reduce in cognitive function among the children as well due to the exposure to BPA. The other EDC that we should look into would be pesticides and fungicides, because a lot of our countries have agricultural sectors, and occupational exposure to pesticide is not something that we can lightly look into it. So it's something that we should be taken with strong consideration. Now, exposure to pesticides and fungicides during pregnancy has been linked with poorer cognitive, language, and motor development at the age of 1 year. The other one that we should also see is phthalates. Now, phthalates and BPA, they are very closely associated. Usually in plastics that we can find BPA, we would be able to find phthalates as well. Now, phthalates, on top of most of the EDC effects that we have spoken about, phthalates is actually an environmental obesogen, where it changes our body and how our body metabolizes. It changes our appetite as well. And together, all of this, we actually see when phthalates increases in a child, we actually see obesity, childhood obesity increases. And this can be seen in the measurement of their BMI, their waist, and their hip circumference as well. Over here, I have shown a slideshow on the microplastics and how it is actually transferred. I would just very briefly go through this because I have another image on it later. So here we can see that microplastics exposure during pregnancy can then lead to situations such as stillbirth, abortion, and preeclampsia. And other common some common sources of microplastics are breast milk bottles, even formula milk that we have. I think a lot of papers have said they found microplastics in these products. So during the pregnancy, the microplastics can be transferred to the baby via the placenta transfer. When the baby is born, then we look at the breast milk transfer from the mother to the child. On top of that, the child itself are also exposed to various plastics through the things that they touch, through the food that they eat, through the dust that's in their air, and etc. Now, I would like to just speak about infectious disease and zoonotic disease affecting the maternal and child health. Can we just take a moment and reflect back on Zika virus, which actually happened in Brazil in the year 2015? During the infection period, those pregnant mothers who were actually infected with Zika virus had 21.9% increased risk of infant microcephaly, which is actually a situation where a child is born with a rare and lifelong neurological condition where the baby's head is actually significantly smaller than expected. This is actually due to abnormal baby growth in the womb. So this is what happened when a pregnant mother obtained Zika virus. Let's also take a look what happened if the mother exhibited Zika-like symptoms but was not infected. In these cases, mothers with Zika-like symptoms during the first trimester has a 6.2 times increased risk of microcephaly. In a nutshell, 35 to 87% of microcephaly cases was linked to Zika virus at that time itself. Then let's fast forward to something that the world has experienced in the recent years. So we all battle with COVID-19. And COVID-19 has been associated with placenta dysfunction, fetal growth restriction, as well as increased risk in respiratory distress syndrome in newborns. So let's not forget this incident that we as the population have just embraced. Move on, let's take a look about food and water safety. In Malaysia, where I reside, I think we were really privileged where water is not really a concern because we are blessed with constant water supply, access to clean water, and etc. But let's not forget countries where clean water is scarce. Yeah, we have difficulty to have clean drinking water, and what more to say, clean water for the purpose of sanitation and hygiene as well. And because of this, there's actually about 200,000 deaths annually, which are caused by pesticide poisoning, which is in the water. So in the water itself, we have pesticides and heavy metals such as lead and mercury, and all of this actually influences the maternal and child health. So lead exposure during pregnancy can reduce the child's IQ by 6 to 7 points. Now, global access to water remains a challenge, and it's estimated that 1 in 5 children worldwide does not have sufficient water for daily needs. In addition, more than 1,300 children under the age of 5 die every day due to unsafe drinking water, poor sanitation, as well as hygiene. This is something that every government is trying to do. However, efforts needs to continue and efforts needs to escalate in this aspect of safe food and safe water. At this moment, let's take about 30 seconds or so to ponder. So this tagline that I put here is saving life by taking a One Health approach. Now, One Health approach is very important where we put together different people and let's put all our heads together to see how we can address maternal and child health. So this is calling forward medical professionals, environmental scientists, veterinarian, and policymakers. We should come together and have a cross-sector partnership, and we will actually zoom into better disease surveillance, environmental monitoring, and policy development, which can be implemented to safeguard the maternal and child health. Kindly let me share some of the research that I've conducted in relation to maternal and child health. So in 2025, I'm just sharing some of the recent research that we have. So what you hear from me today will not be everything that we have done, but rather snapshots of what we have done in the recent years. So in 2025, we have published some papers, and this is on Chinese herbal medicine. So among the Chinese community, during the confinement period or during the postpartum period, we have a regular, traditional consumption of Chinese herbal medicine. And this Chinese herbal medicine, it's consumed over a period of about 30 to 45 days. And usually this is consumed because it's a passed down tradition. And also mothers believe that it's able to revive the health of the uterus and the surrounding system and reduce incidences such as frequent urination, which they cannot control, so involuntary urination or incontinency situation. So in our study, we observed that mothers who consume Chinese herbal medicine had a 3 times higher odds of infants developing neonatal jaundice. And the odds is as high as 3, and the 95% confidence interval review or odds ratio of between 1.3 to 7. I must also highlight that Chinese herbal medicine is often cooked together with a substantial amount of ginger. And this together between the Chinese herbal medicine and the ginger could elevate the incidence of neonatal jaundice. In the Chinese herbal medicine itself, we found contamination of 4 heavy metals, namely arsenic, cadmium, chromium, and lead. So what we do is we take this heavy metals and we put it into a health risk assessment. In our health risk assessment, we review that for the mother to be taking the CHM over a period of 30 to 45 days there is no evident carcinogenic health risk. But however, we would like to warrant for further studies and continuous monitoring to ensure maternal and child health safety. The other study that we have done, which is very similar, but in this one, we actually look at the Malay herbal medicine, which is consumed by the Malay community in Malaysia. Now, this paper was published in 2024 in a Discovery Public Health paper that we have. Now, in this population, we would like to highlight that the consumption of MHA, Malay herbal medicine, was associated with a twofold increase in the likelihood of threatened abortion, which is very alarming, and the 95% confidence interval fall between 1 and 3.9. And once again, we find heavy metals in the NHM, and the top three, it's actually arsenic, cadmium, chromium, as well as lead as well. So it should be the top four. So please mind my typo in the slides. Once again, like the CHM, we did not see any significant health risks for the consumption during the postpartum period and the pregnancy period. However, we should continue to monitor. Should the mother continue to take this herbal medicine in a prolonged period, longer than the pregnancy and the postpartum, then it may warrant increased health risks. So we should continue to monitor this situation as well. In line with this too, we also collected breast milk from mothers to investigate if there are actually heavy metals in the breast milk that we feed to the babies. And this one, I think the readings are very high. It's rather alarming as well. And we found heavy metals such as lead, cadmium, chromium, and arsenic. Yeah, alarmingly, 93.4% of infants have a hazard index of more than 1. That means it is a permissible index with a possibility of adverse health effects. And the highest hazard index that we recorded among the babies that we have recruited is actually 17, so which is actually very high. When we look at the heavy metal concentration in each and every breast milk, we found huge numbers exceeding the WHO recommendation. And here are the percentages that you can see in the slides. For instance, for chromium itself, 97.2% of the breast milk samples exceeded the WHO recommendation. Next, we have the arsenic contamination to be really high as well, with 63.2%. So the takeaway from this study is to request for urgent follow-up studies. And also for you, if you are interested in breast milk and the quality of breast milk and the contamination of heavy metals in breast milk, to also begin such a research in your home country. And because this kind of research will raise the awareness that is needed to reduce exposure risk of heavy metals to both mothers and infants. This is another recent study that we pushed out in the year 2025. We actually did a review paper on microplastics and child health. The microplastics is one of the hit topic that everybody is asking environmental scientists or public health or environmental health practitioners to actually look into it, because we are all surrounded by plastics every day. Now, microplastics can be divided to primary microplastics, which means it's intended by nature into our products. Sometimes our facial cleansers have microbeads which contains microplastics. But we also have secondary microplastics. The secondary microplastics are actually degradation of a larger piece of plastics. So imagine a big piece of plastics. When it enters the environment, these plastics will undergo weathering due to the sun, due to the ocean current, etc. And they will be degraded into smaller pieces. When they are in the micro range of sizes, then they are called as microplastics. So the type of polymers that we see in microplastics are PA, polyamide, PS, polystyrene, PP, polypropylene, as well as polyethylene. We have the low density and the high density, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, as well as PET as well. So microplastics are plastics within the region of smaller than 5 millimeter. Nanoplastics are plastics in the region of less than 100 nanometer. These microplastics are pretty colorful in nature. So based on our review, we found microplastics in the child, maternal, and child exposure to be rather colorful. It can be red, white, blue, green, yellow. Transparent is the most abundant one as well. And in each of these plastics, they actually have additive. Now, additive are chemicals which bind onto the plastics, and it's actually very resistant, and it can elicit health effects. Take a look at the prenatal and postnatal microplastics exposure, which we found in the many papers that we reviewed. So prenatal microplastic exposure during the pregnancy, we actually find microplastics in amniotic fluid, placenta, umbilical cord, umbilical vein blood, fetal membrane, and endometrium as well. As the child grows bigger to the age of about 1 year old, then we can find microplastics in their breast milk. It can be leaching from the breast milk storage bag. When you heat it up, when you freeze your breast milk and then you thaw it and you heat it up once again, there could be a percentage of microplastics which could leach into the breast milk itself. We have also found microplastics in formula milk, feeding bottles, pacifiers, as well as baby teats where the baby has a habit of chewing on them as well. Beyond that, as the child grows bigger to about 1 year old and beyond, we actually give them toys. And some of the toys that we give to them are actually plastics. So with the frequent rubbing, abrasion on the surfaces, with the throwing that they do and picking up and playing it again, microplastics can leach onto their hand. And with this, it could be a potential exposure to the child. To add on, there are also microplastics in the food that the child will consume, such as rice, seafood, water, and selected fruits and vegetables as well. Some of the study actually look at the household dust as well as the dust in the preschool, etc. And we found microplastics to be in their environmental dust. When we talk about the potential health effects that the child could possibly face, this is something that is still quite new. We do not actually have a lot of paper on this. So if you see the image that I put here, it's one of the red. Because a lot of the studies on the prenatal and postnatal health effects due to the microplastics and nanoplastics exposure are very much limited to animal studies. We have begun collecting some samples for us to look at the maternal and child health effects, and we are collecting these two samples. This is one of our current study. We are collecting two samples, and we will be analyzing these two samples for microplastics and the gut microbiome. We would like to see if microplastic exposure will translate to gut microbiome disruptions. If yes, does it change the abundance and the diversity of the gut microbiota? So these are the things we want to look into. And in this study itself, we also look at the GI questionnaire. So does it actually increase the risk of colic in the baby, milk regurgitation, and etc. So this is something that we have on the ongoing. However, in this review paper that we published last year, these are the associated health risks that you can see. And it's quite, it actually traverses a lot of system. And we see, the ocular, pulmonary, cardiovascular, hepatic, digestive, skeletal, neurological, lymphatic, urinary, as well as the reproduction system, reported to have certain levels of adverse effects. So this is where the current research is at. In line with this, I would just like, if you are in the field of healthcare or if you are scientists and researchers, if you would like to join me, I would like to urge you to just let's come together and look into what the environment is doing on maternal and child health, because we can prevent or we can optimize the health of the child as they grow up later. In each and every one of my slides, you would see the paper on the right-hand side together with a QR code. If you would like to have access to the paper, you can very easily scan the QR code and you can download the papers. As a conclusion, One Health connects human, animal, and environmental health. And because of this interconnected relationship, it is important because maternal and child health is particularly sensitive to these interactions. Early developmental stages are highly vulnerable to environmental stresses. Environmental pollution, infectious disease, food safety, and climate change all come together to influence pregnancy outcome and child development. Addressing these challenges requires interdisciplinary collaboration across medicine, environmental science, legal entity, as well as public health. Before I close today, I would like to say if you would like to connect with myself or with the Microplastics team, you can always reach out to us. Here are more QR codes. But let me leave you with the tagline this morning, which is nurturing healthier beginning through the One Health concept. Before I hand it back to the convener and the co-convener this morning, I have also been tasked to promote the ICMPB 2026 conference. This is the 9th International Conference on Molecular Biology and Biotechnology 2026, which will be held from the 14th to the 16th of July 2026. And this year itself, it would be held at my university where I am working. And the theme for this year is Transdisciplinary Innovation, Advancing Science Through Responsible Use of AI for Human and Planetary Well-Being. If you're interested to join, there is the fees for international participation, either through physical, or if you would like to attend digitally, you could also do that as well. I believe the call for abstract is ongoing, so do check out the website for more information. Over to you, Mr. Junai.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Tan, for delivering such an insightful and inspiring lecture at the same time. And all the details were backed by the strong research, which we all have gone through while you have shared the QRs of them, so that each one can also go through the full length of the papers. And your presentation beautifully highlighted the interconnection between humans, human health, environmental health, and community well-being. Emphasized the importance of collaborative approach, also improving maternal and child health outcomes. The depth of knowledge, clarity of explanations, real-world perspectives you shared have greatly enriched our understanding of this important global health concept, definitely. So, on behalf of Society of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, we sincerely appreciate your valuable time, expertise, willingness to share your knowledge with our global audience. As I told you before, ma'am, we have 1,700 registrations all over the globe. So your talk has truly made the session meaningful, impactful for all the participants. Now, ma'am, we have a few questions which we'll really like to ask from you, ma'am. So first will be what research opportunities exist for young research and pharmacy students interested in One Health approach?
Okay, I think what would be interesting for young researchers to look at is to look at the interconnectedness of One Health and how we can actually translate it into the concept of maternal and child health. How we can use the concept of One Health to improve or to safeguard maternal and child health. I think I see a lot of research opportunities in the areas of environmental toxicology, infectious disease, antimicrobial resistance, climate change kind of related research, food safety, microplastics exposure. I think for pharmacists, it's good to look at the development of drugs. So how does your drug escalate into the environment? So after in the drug design itself, for you to also to look at after the drug is being taken in, how long does it stay in the body, what's the percentage that it will enter the environment, and what happens to it after it enters the environment. I think this is something that is worth looking into because everything is interconnected, like what we say from the very beginning. So if high amount of drugs is found in the urine of the child or in the pregnancy mother, it would actually go into the drinking water, drinking system. And in the drinking water and drinking system, it actually comes back to us. So it's a loop mechanism. So very often we need to look at how healthcare is being designed and how healthcare can be optimized to ensure that this critical window of maternal and child health is protected from more adverse health effects.
In continuation to this, ma'am, as you spoke about the global, so what global or national policies are needed to ensure safe food and water systems for mothers and children?
Okay. I think for safe food and clean water, one of the things that I would really like to advocate and push governments for is to provide the access to clean water. So let's just begin by doing that. Yeah, before we can zoom into and say, okay, I don't want this contaminant, I don't want that. I think the very first step is to ensure that everybody have access to clean water. So clean water can be used for drinking and also adequate amount of clean water for hygiene and for the mother to shower, for the baby to shower. I think these are very important because only when adequate access to clean water is being provided, then only we can be picky. Then we can say, let's rule out heavy metals in drinking water. Let's rule out heavy metals in the food that the pregnant mothers take. Because it has been proven for centuries that if pregnant mother consumes mercury, then we see neurological impairment, we see cognitive decline. Same goes to lead. In fact, the lead has a limit of 0 as per the US EPA guidelines, which means no child should be exposed to lead exposure because that would affect the cognitive of the child. And I think heavy metals is where every government should start, at least from there. So clean water, clean water access to food where we can prevent malnutrition, we can prevent infectious disease such as diarrhea and etc. Then we move on. Okay, let's rule out heavy metals, which is something that I think all of the country, I think which are listed here and attending and hearing are aware of the health effects of heavy metals and human. I think this is something that we could do. So this is tier 2. In tier 3, then we can move on to look at endocrine disrupting compounds. So things such as plastics in the water, what do we do about it? We do not need to begin from microplastics because it does need certain amount of technology to actually investigate. But we can always start from BPA. So governments should come forth and say, okay, let's ban BPA in milk drinking bottle. Let's ban the BPA in breast milk containers. Let's ban BPA in breast milk storage bags. So we can begin by policy making irrelevant to food, or things that containers that we will use to transfer food to the baby. So these are 3 tiers that I would like to propose. First, safe food, abundance of food safety, food security, clean water, heavy metals, prevention of exposure to heavy metals, and lastly, endocrine disrupting compounds.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting this. That the first major thing any country or any society has to do is to the basic clean water. This should be the basic norm. Then we can further progress towards other things, policies, and various other. Now, this question is from my personal side that as we talk about plastics or heavy metals, one of your paper highlighted plastic. So, does this mean that plastic should be totally avoided to the infants, newly born babies? Because some of, as I have seen, that some parents adopt that plastic toddler for the feeding, and some use maybe some percentage. I'm not able to say current. Some may use this but a glass one also. But does this mean that plastic should be avoided right from the baby is born?
Okay, maybe I just use my country as an example. So in my country, we have banned BPA in milk drinking water bottle, because the frequent heating up, because we have a habit of heating up the breast milk, transferring to the drinking water bottle. Sometimes when the baby does not finish the milk, we will actually, put it in a bowl of warm water to keep it warm. Hopefully the baby will finish it later. So habits like this of frequent warming the milk and then hot and cold temperature can actually it's actually harmful to the plastics itself. It makes it more vulnerable to actually leach plastics into the milk itself. So if I think the best approach is, of course, to change this plastic milk bottle to a glass milk bottle. So if you look at a lot of products right now, you would see there are more and more glass milk bottle than they were before. Compared to our time when we were babies, I think there were no glass milk bottles, but now they are. So then the options are now available, but it's just that it's expensive. So it's not something that's affordable to everybody. So what I want to share is, if the option of changing to glass milk bottle, it's not an option, which I can understand. Maybe what you would like to do is to prevent the direct exposure of high heat to the milk bottle itself. So do not heat the milk bottle in microwave. And if, as much as possible, you may want to reduce the quantity of milk that you make. So try to ensure that you make just enough for one single feed, and prevent warming the milk bottle for a prolonged time. And I think another one which is very good, we should actually have this habit, is to actually change our milk bottle. A lot of the mothers, they keep it for 1 year. So for the whole year, the baby will be using the same set. I would think 3 months would be a good period, because as the longer it goes through this process of warming and cooling, and you clean it, you actually scratch the surfaces and all that, I think 3 months is a good time to change. If 3 months is a good time to change the milk bottle. If that is not possible at all, change the teat where the baby directly latch onto, because some babies, like mine, likes to chew. So they would chew
Right.
on the baby teeth as they feed. So this is where microplastics would leach even more. And if you
Correct.
realize the teeth itself is softer in texture, so it's easier to leach. So if you can change the teeth regularly, it'd be even better if you can change your milk bottle every 3 months. Even better if you can opt for glass milk bottles.
Ah, thank you so much, ma'am. We have a last question, because if we start asking, there are a number of questions, so it will
Yeah.
keep going. But the last one is, ma'am, how does climate change contribute to increased health risk for
Okay.
pregnant women and infants?
Okay. This is one of the hit question that I get asked a lot. Because when we talk about climate change, it's something that's very new. A lot of people talk about planetary health right now. So if you look at the theme of the ICMBB conference, it's also planetary health. So we are really looking at what happens to the health of the planet, and how does it actually affect us. Because we have come to realize that it is impossible to come and say at this point that the health of the planet does not affect us in any way, which is not true. So what we know right now is that climate change changes heat exposure. Like in Malaysia itself, it has gotten hotter, and maybe in your countries as well. Do you realize this in the recent
True.
decade, that maybe temperature has gotten higher? And on top
Yes.
of
Yes.
that, we have less water than less rain, less water than what we used to have. Or we undergo climate change in such a way that we have very hot lunch hour, and we got extremely cold evening where it starts to rain, where the downpour starts as well. So we have increased incidences of flash floods. Our southern countries have a longer prolonged drought period as well. And certain countries where clean water access is less is actually getting worse. So the access to clean water is getting worse in certain countries. So all of this can actually lead to situations such as heat stress during pregnancy, dehydration during pregnancy, and it can worsen pregnancy complications such as preeclampsia and etc. To elaborate more, sometimes the range of vector-borne diseases, such as dengue and malaria, can change as well, because we are seeing that the pattern has changed through the years, and this is in line with planetary health as well. So we want to ensure that curb the vector-borne diseases, keep it controlled, and we want to ensure that food and water system is it's adequate, so we can reduce the risk of malnutrition and reduce the risk of infectious diseases. Through this, we can then protect maternal and child health.
Thank you so much for answering the question so gracefully, Dr. Tan. Your insightful and enlightening responses to the questions. Your explanation have further deepened our understanding of the important connections between environmental health, human health, and maternal child health well-being. Your presentations on One Health and maternal health child as shared responsibility has truly highlighted the significance of interdisciplinary collaboration in addressing global health challenges and ensuring healthier futures for mother and children both. So we are at the verge of conclusion. So with this, we come to the conclusion of 105th SPSR International Webinar. Today's session on One Health, Maternal Health Child, a shared responsibility has been extremely informative and thought-provoking. At the same time, we sincerely thank you for distinguished speaker, Dr. Tan, for delivering once again such a insightful presentation and for sharing your valuable expertise and research with us. We also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to each participant from different institutions and countries for their active participation and engaging questions that made this session truly interactive and meaningful. So on the behalf of SPSR, Society of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, we express our sincere gratitude to our collaborating organization, the Malaysian Society of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, for their support in organizing this webinar. So I would also like to thank Dr. Shashi Alok sir, National President SPSR, for honoring us with his presence. We recognize and appreciate your commitment and guidance, sir, for profound significant inputs. I would also like to thank my convener, Mrs. Monika Sabharwal, ma'am, for her pivotal role in organizing this event. We also extend our gratitude to all SPSR team members for their collaborative efforts, have broadened our understanding and fostering cooperative learning. With this, we sorry. With this, we formally bring the session to a close. We look forward for welcoming you to our future SPSR webinars and academic initiatives. Thank you and have a wonderful, productive day ahead. And with this, definitely, and you can tell us about the conference once again, ma'am, to all the participants.
Okay, so I would like to encourage you to join us in Malaysia if you can physically. Otherwise, you can also join us digitally. So we have the ICMBB conference that's coming up, and I would actually send the artwork to your team. So if you could gladly help us to forward that, that would be glad. I'll be very helpful, very happy as well. So let me send you the artwork, and I think they can get more information from there. And the abstract call is also ongoing, so don't miss out the opportunity to register.
Okay, so with this, thank you so much, ma'am. It was pleasure. And
Thank you
definitely,
so
I
much.
personally will collaborate sometime in future because being a researcher, so I will definitely connect on some mutually understanding topic. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
ma'am, with
much.
this.
Thank you. Goodbye.